Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Emma and I are here again today just to come in and we're going to talk through the business side. So we're really just sort of focusing on the main sort of points that you need to do to get someone from never having tried our essential oils to having an account and buying them an LRP, etc., etc. So we're just going to take you through that process and yeah, we'll see what comes out and what tips we can give you along the way. All right, Emma, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Emma. I've been using and working with doTERRA for now almost 3 years. So yeah, I'm really happy to join Ebony and share our way we do the business.
Thanks, Emma. All right, so we'll just kind of start with just the guides that doTERRA give us, because we should all have these. And if you don't add them to your order, you can't possibly say you're doing doTERRA as a business without having these guides in your life, because these should be your Bibles and you should always have them by your side. You can get them online. They're on shinefrominside.com under the Become an Advocate under your Build a Business page. But you can also just Google them. They come up, Live Guide doTERRA, Launch Guide doTERRA, whatever it is. They're also on doTERRA.com, of course, as well. There's a bunch of places to get them. You can get them online. You can look through them there. You can print them out, but I really recommend that you give them, buy them printed. And also, if you buy them printed, then it also means you can start giving those out to your people. So as you get customers, you can be giving them the Live Guide and going through that with them the minute they've got their oils or made their order. And then if they are interested in sharing, you can also go through the share guide. So that's casual sharing. So it might not be intensely to make thousands of dollars a month, or they don't want to put in 20+ hours a week. But sharing is a really nice guide for more casual sharers. And then if they're interested in making serious money and a serious income, then it's the build guide you want to go through with them. But all that should be done by this point. At this point, we're going to pick up at the launch guide. And the launch guide is what you absolutely need to have by your side at all times if you're building a doTERRA business. And this is going to be your little Bible. So I actually have it in digital form here as well, so we can screen share and go through all the different sections. But yeah, this is the printed version, and I really recommend that you do this. I've had about 10 of these and filled them in. Okay, so like I go back to these all the time, even 5-6 years in, wherever I am. I go back to this and I re-go through this brochure all the time. It's literally amazing. So let's do the screen share and then we can go through all the different topics. So I'm going to screen share here. Okay, I'm going to go to this one. Share. Okay. Emma, can you see that one okay?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay, so this is the digital version, obviously. So we can go through, okay, doTERRA Launch Business Guide. And this is really the main page that we're going to talk through today, because it's something that I think a lot of us just don't keep at the top of our minds with everything. And it really is so important to whatever stage we're at in our business. So it's called PIPES. That's the what's it called? Anagram for the way to remember the different stages of doing your business. So we want to start with, well, let's start at the top here. Even before we get to PIPES, as a customer, you're really going to want to have your belief in the product. So this one here, belief in the product. So that what that takes is obviously using the product for a lot of different things and solving your problems. So solve your own problems first, right? Solve your sleep issues, solve your digestive issues, solve your cleansing issues, whatever it is for you. Make sure that you've had good experiences by the time you want to share this product. Now that could only take a few nights, right? If you're using the products right. So some people start sharing in their first week. Some people it takes a year or two to want to feel comfortable to share. I would say start before you feel ready, because that's the way to get anywhere in life. Start before you're ready. Then it goes on to action here. So it says share with 45+ people, enroll 15+ people, and launch 1 to 3 builders. And that's going to give you results. It's going to allow you to change people's lives. It's going to help you to grow personally, and it's going to help you to create residual income. Because if you actually do this, you're going to be above elite. Now, most people, when they start, they share with 2 or 3 people. That's not a way to build a business. That's what you would do anyway, right? If you found something you really loved. You need to write your list of 100 people and blah, blah, blah. We're going to go on to that. But you need to be sharing with a lot of people to start a business going. So that's the preemptor. And just over here, it goes through the three different, three of the main ranks in doTERRA. And elite is the first one that's really, really important to get yourself to, because it's going to allow you to be in profit with your business. So you're going to be getting all your product for free. You're going to get all those benefits for free from having all that good stuff. And you're going to be making money on top of that. So that is 100% where we need to get you to first. And then obviously most people want to get themselves to silver, and that takes getting 3 elites. So elite is really the foundation of doTERRA building, because if you can get yourself to elite, then you can teach 3 other people to get to elite, you're silver. Then if you can teach those 3 people to get 3 people to elite, then you're platinum. And platinums earn, here it says 7,700, so 7,700 euros a month, or 7,140 pounds a month when you get to platinum. So that's a month. That's like half of what some people earn a year, you know? So it's an incredible, incredible wage. That's per month. Now, not everyone will get there because it takes a lot of personal development. It takes a lot of sharing, a lot of teaching, and a lot of commitment. But that's obviously, there is a lot of people in doTERRA platinum and beyond, a lot of people. So it's not undoable. And you can see why, because you're literally duplicating the system. Get yourself to elite, get 3 people to elite, help them get 3 people to elite, and you're there. So that's how to break it down and keep it simple in your mind. Let's go to pipes. So pipes is anagram the right word, Emma? Am I being dumb?
Oh yeah, that's the right word. Yeah.
So pipes. So it's prepare, invite, present, enroll, and support. And if you keep those 5 letters and those 5 words in your mind, you can keep track of all these 45 plus people that you've invited from day 1. So where are you on that schedule with people? So Emma, we'll start talking about prepare first. So it's really about preparing your launch. So what do you do before you even teach a class? What do you have to do before you can even teach a class? Emma, do you want to start?
Yeah.
You were wanting to speak there. Go for it.
Okay, so hi. So yeah, how I like to start preparing for a class is I make sure that I let each person experience the oils. Now, when I started with the oils, my collection wasn't that big, so I only had a few limited oils. So if you are just beginning and you only have, let's say, 3 oils, like maybe the intro kit, then you can actually just sample by literally sharing that a drop in someone's hand. And that's a great way of sharing if you are on a budget. Once you start building your foundation to elite and you've got a bigger collection and you can start buying more oils, then this is then a great way to start sampling using vials, which I'm going to show you now. So this is what a vial looks like. I think Ebony, you've got some as well. And I like to sample people 6 drops of an oil. That can be lemon, peppermint, wild orange, or lavender, because they're some of the cheaper oils. I don't tend to necessarily sample any of my expensive oils, just because, you know, cost effectively it's better to just sample the more cheaper oils. And then, yeah, I send those in the post to people. I just send it in an envelope. The way I like to do it is write down a little synopsis of each oil, what that does and how it's going to benefit each individual person, and then how to use it. So I give them 3 ways they can use that oil. So aromatically, topically, and internally, to make sure that they know like how they can use that.
Can we backtrack a little bit before we go forward?
Yeah.
And just stop here. So, yeah. So with the preparing, so what Emma's talking about is all the sampling. So really for the preparing thing, it's making sure you have all the stuff in your home, right? So you need to order those vials.
Yeah.
You need to order the vials and you need to order stickers. And you can order those from your back office in doTERRA. And when you're next making your order, you just you type in vials and they come up, and you can buy a bag of like 72. You get like about 5 of these bags full of these 4 of these empty vials. And as Emma said, you would put about 6 drops in, and you would buy some stickers. You can buy the stickers from doTERRA. This is a used sheet, but this is what you get when you buy the stickers from doTERRA. You get a whole sheet of all the different stickers. Now, if you're going to be sampling a lot of lemon, peppermint, or wild orange, or lavender, like we're saying, it's really good to maybe go to one of the essential oil companies like essentialoilsupplies.uk or foroils.com or any of these different companies that sell all our accessories. And you can actually buy just sheets of single oil stickers, which is super, super helpful because you're only going to get like 2 or 3 on your sheet from doTERRA with all the different ones. So it's really good to have those. That's the minimum you really need to sample properly if you're going to really sample properly. And then there's some other things that you might want to order as well. So you're going to want to have the oil in as well. So you're going to want to make sure you've got enough peppermint, lemon, lavender, blah, blah, blah. 6 drops isn't a lot. You get 250 drops in a bottle. So that is going to give you a lot of samples, but you'll be surprised how quickly it does go, you know, because if you're sampling 10 people, that's 60 drops of oil. So, you know, if you've only got a quarter of a bottle left, that might be, you know, you might want to make sure you've got enough of the oils you're going to sample in. And if you're going to sample 45 plus people at 6 drops each, you might need a couple of bottles of these oils to really do the sampling properly. And then you might also want to buy a couple of other tools to add to that. So one of my favorite things is something like these sheets, which is like the top 10 oils. And it just gives you a little tiny little teaser about each oil. So it's got a little bit about safety. It's got how much should you use, how do you use them, breathe them in on your skin in food or water. And then it's got like a little bit for each oil. So it just says under peppermint here, it says calm digestive upset, opens airways, cools overheated skin, soothes tired muscles, energize and boost mood. Add a drop to your drinking water, apply to chest prior exercise, massage into tired muscles. So it's just really, really short teaser, but they're very cheap. You can get packs of like 20 of them and throw one of them in, and that's going to be really helpful because it's going to give them an idea. There's another one I like the first aid one. So sometimes I do that. Very uncompliant, but it's very, very useful. So it's going to say things like, if you have a rash, to provide support to irritated skin, directions, apply essential oils to affected area. Oils that are good for this are myrrh, lavender, melaleuca, spikenard, Roman chamomile. So again, it's just a little teaser and you can choose whichever one you like. A more expensive way to do it, if you want to invest a bit more into your business, you can also do both, or you can do this as well. So we've got all these little brochures, which are super helpful. And there's all different versions of these brochures made by all different people. And you'll find them at doTERRA events as well. There'll be people selling this kind of stuff. So these little books are they're like mini modern essential books, like the 2 books you should have if you're doing your business. And what have I done with mine? I had them a moment ago. I don't know what I've done with them. But they're the Modern Essentials book and the Essential Life book, which are, you know, our Bibles as well. They're like the big clunky books that we have everything in them. These are like mini versions of these little handbooks, and they go through everything. They go through what essentials oils are, blah, blah, blah. And if you give somebody this with your sample, it's just going to allow them to get an idea of the kind of power that these oils could have. So it's very useful to include any of these. But then Emma was saying also she just likes to write down, and that's perfectly good as well. Like there's no need to have any of these. If you want to, you don't have a lot of money when you're starting essential oils, you can just write down 3 of these points. Like that's exactly what Emma is saying.
And just to jump in on that, if it's someone who's specifically looking for something, you know, like they want, they're looking for an oil to treat something specific, let's say, then that's when it's really nice to write it down, because then it becomes more personal.
I think it's also really good because it's a bit more, it's like direct, isn't it? So if you get a bit of lemon as a sample and you receive this, like it might be interesting, but you might not feel super confident using it still. So when Emma writes the lovely person note saying, you know, use 1 drop of that lemon in your water in the morning, let it sit for a few moments before you drink it, you know, and you just give a little bit, it just gives that personal bit of direction when you're starting to open those samples. And I just wanted to backtrack even more. Oh, sorry, I will mention these as well. These are something else that I sometimes like to include as well. Again, totally unnecessary, and you can do this on a piece of paper. But these are like, I don't know if you can see that, but they're almost like a little kind of prescription type sheet. So you can actually give those out, and it's essential oil sample information. You can put the name of the product on top. You can tick the box for what it supports. So whether it's the nervous system, emotions, digestive, skin, etc., etc. And then it's got a little space for methods of use. And then you can put your name and your contact information on the bottom there. So that's like a little sheet if you feel like you want something a bit more businessy looking, depending on how you're sharing. If you're sharing from a business, that might appeal to you. Most people, I think I generally just write a note, like we're saying. But yeah, that can be really helpful as well. And then, yeah, what Emma was saying before is like, even if you don't, when some people start doTERRA, they don't even have enough money to buy all this stuff, right? Like even the vials, even extra oil, like they've barely managed to buy a few bottles themselves. So a really good way is just to walk around smelling like the oils, right? That's a really, really good way to sample people. Is like literally, I will not just put it on me like I normally would. I would put some in my hair and on my clothes because it's going to stay for longer. It's not going to just disappear into my body. And that's going to really give people an experience of the oils without you even giving it away. And then, like Emma said, if you are in contact with the person and they're interested and you have a bottle in your bag, which you always should have your oils in your bag, then you're going to actually put a drop in their hand and do that little experience where they put a drop in their hand, they rub it together, they breathe in, they rub it on their skin, they have the feeling, they have the experience. That is sampling. So you don't have to go to the lengths that we're starting to talk about. And you can go even further with it too, if you're willing to put in a bit more money into sampling. But to be honest, it's effective regardless of how you do it. And to be honest, a lot of people that sign up with me haven't even been sampled. They've just heard me talk about it because I'm often signing people up in different countries, different locations, different continents, and I can't physically send them samples. A lot of times when I've sent samples abroad, they don't even arrive. So it's really good when you can do that, when you have the money and you have the ability and you have the time to do it properly. That's wonderful. Don't feel like it's a necessity. Just make sure that you get the smell into people's experience, if at all possible.
Just to add in there as well, if you have got, what I found helpful, and I've only just started to do this, but if you've got, or if you know anyone within doTERRA who lives in other countries and you do want to send samples to another country, that way I've been doing it through someone in Australia, and then I just pay her through PayPal. So that's actually a really nice way to sample people who, you know, and it's cheaper than me sending it from here to Australia, for example.
Which is crazy. Yeah, it costs a fortune. And then just the other things about preparing is just if you want to get things like, make sure you've ordered the launch guide, make sure you've experienced all the oils yourself and had that experience. And then anything else you might want to get are like little things like little bags, you know, like a lot of us like to make them super cute. So you can buy like little bags like this and just put your samples in and stuff. I mean, we'll talk about this in a minute, but you know, you can put little sample bags together and give those out too. So it really depends where you want to go, but just make sure you've got what you need, what you can afford to get started in the best way that feels good to you. So that's kind of the preparing. Now we need to go then from, we'll go back onto sampling in a moment because that's really when we come to invite. But for prepare, we really want to go page 4, 5, and 4, 5, 6, and 7. So let me go back onto this. Okay, so it's really about fueling your launch. So it's going through these guides again. It's setting your goals. So we really want you to set your goals. So if you don't have goals, they're not going to happen, right? It's just the way of life. So make sure that you're telling yourself, like, my goal to reach elite is in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. What does it feel like for you? How much time do you have to put into your business? How many people are you going to sample? What's your goal? Okay, so if you really want to go for it, then you better be saying that you want to hit elite in 30 days. If you know that you don't have much time or you're not quite ready yet, maybe you want to make it 60 days or maybe you want to make it 90 days. And it can take people longer if they don't do the work from the beginning. So it's really up to you on how quickly you want to make that happen, but you have to do the actions to correlate with the goal. And then, so we're going to say your 90-day goal is to earn how much money and what rank do you want to be? What is your 1-year goal? What do you want to be next year? How much money do you want to be making and what rank do you want to be making? And then you have to make your actions match your goals. Then the next step is to make sure you have your tools for teaching a class. So there's really great ways to do this, because there's actually kits. You can go into leadership kits. It is in most continents, in most markets. You go into leadership kits in your back office, and you'll actually be able to buy like a class in a box. It's called different things in different places, but it's basically a class in a box. And it's going to give you things like, again, do I have this handy? I did have it a moment ago. Oh, it's over there. I can see it. It's not in my sheet, but it's a teaching sheet. So it's going to be the sheet that you follow when you're teaching a class. It's going to be the sign up form. It's going to be all the information you need to do that class. So you want to make sure that you also have that ready. So make sure you've got that ordered, make sure you have them in your possession. You can print them out for free. You can, you know, use them like that. You don't have to buy them. But yeah, I just recommend that you have those teaching sheets available to you before you even start. And then obviously you want to schedule your success. So we want to talk about, okay, so before we even get to inviting people, we want to schedule our classes. So we want to look at our schedule, and we want to be honest with ourselves, and we want to say, if we want to reach elite in 30 days, I can't do one class this month, right? You've got to teach a lot of people in that month to get to elite in 1 month. So you better schedule your classes, and you better have, like, I would say if you want to go really fast in the beginning, you want to have a class a week, at least. There's people that go really fast and they're doing 2 or 3 classes a week. Some people do 4 classes a week. But really, what is 4 classes? If you're really treating this as a job, how can you say that that's too much work? If you really want to be earning 2,000 plus a month from doTERRA, is it really that big a deal to teach 4 classes? It depends what, you know, it really, you've got to really think about what you want and how much you want it, and are you willing to put in those actions?
I think also, and I think also with the classes, sorry, there's a siren. With teaching the classes, obviously if you're doing a class, you're going to reach way more people than just doing one-to-ones. Now, but everyone has their own preference. Like some people prefer doing one-to-ones, but doing classes, you are going to reach a bigger audience of people, which means you are going to reach those ranks quicker.
Yeah, and it really depends what works for you. Again, it's like when you do a class, you have to prepare a lot more. So it might take you a whole day to tidy your house, get the kids out of the room, get the oils right, make some snacks, have some water, blah, blah, blah. That might be a lot more work. But as Emma says, you're hitting 20 people in an hour rather than spending an hour with 20 people individually. You can see the difference, right? So it is worth it to do those events. However, like I was a person that, because a lot of my people weren't in the same place as me, I did a lot of one-to-ones online. But I had time to do that. So I had 30 hours plus a week to give to my doTERRA business. So I could afford to do it that way. So you really have to figure out what works for you. You can also do online classes and do it with groups of people, which now we're all very accustomed to doing. But, you know, 5-6 years ago, that wasn't really the case. And then I love this little diagram under here. So during your launch month, you're going to be inviting 45 people. You're scheduling 3 classes or 15 one-on-ones or a combination. You're setting time to invest in your business, and you're going to ask yourself and schedule who needs a natural solution intro to oils, who needs a follow-up to enroll, who needs a lifestyle overview, which is the live guide, the one that we just talked about, this one, and who needs a business overview, which is the build guide, and who's ready to host a class. So if you've got anyone that doesn't want to do the business, but they're still loving the oils, then to host a class for you. They want to share it with their friends and family. That's wonderful. Then it says refine your prospects. So we're going to go on to making your list in a second. But under here, it says refine your prospects. And I love this little diagram here because it shows how many people it takes to get to those 3 builders. Okay, because the first 3 people you introduce the oils to are probably not going to want to do a business with doTERRA, and that's perfectly good. But you know, if you introduce yourself to 45, so there's probably about 100 and something people on that top level at your preparation stage, you're inviting 45 plus people to learn. 30 people show up to learn from you because they're actually interested. Another 15 aren't interested at the moment. Then you enroll 15 of those 30 people that show up to learn more. Then you're probably going to end up with 3 builders. But that's the kind of, it's a numbers game, right? Because you're not going to push it on people that don't want it. You're not going to force people to buy it. You're not going to trick people into buying anything. You're literally just teaching about essential oils, and that's how it works. So you have to be introducing it to as many people as possible for that many people to be ready right now. Now, over time, a lot of those other people that you introduced will probably come back to you. But in order to get results quickly, it needs to be introduced to a lot of people, okay? Because that's the only way to make this work fast. Otherwise, you're going to be doing it in dribs and drabs, and it's going to take a long time, which is also okay if that's for you. But we're talking about people that really want to see an income here. Now, success tracker. So this is really good. Emma, you know about this as well. You know, writing your names list. How important is writing your names list, and how often do you have to redo it?
A lot. A lot. But also, it's good to do the names list. You know, then like who you've sampled, what you've. I tend to do it like who I've sampled, what I've sampled them with, so I know that what oil I've sampled them with, so that when I reach out to them again, I know exactly, you know, what I'm going to discuss with them, you know, so it's not just like ad hocly contacting someone. I know what their pain points are. So writing in those.
Remember, you won't remember their child's name. You won't remember the child's condition. You won't remember the sister's condition. You won't remember after a week or two. Not if you're sampling 45 plus people.
No.
So
no, it's really good to
write your notes.
You know.
Yeah.
Now I do it on an Excel tracker, but if you don't have Excel, then you can just do it on something like this. That's absolutely fine.
This is good to get you started, but I would advise what I'm saying about the Excel, because you're going to write more notes than that tiny little line allows you to. So your Excel, I don't love Excel, so I use like Word or Google equivalent of Word or something like that. Or even I use like a notes thing on the computer a lot as well, just to keep track of that stuff. So whatever works for you. The good thing about this, and it just gets you into doing it right, is that I love this little thing that they have here in the corner, which is your kind of tick box thing. So with everyone's name, you've got their notes, and you're going to put share and invite. Have you done that? Have you shared with them essential oils, and have you invited them to learn more? Have you done a class with them? Have you presented to them in a one-on-one or in a group class? Have you enrolled them yet? Have you done a lifestyle overview, which is the Live Guide? And have you done a business overview? Have you told them that there's an opportunity about the business? And if you haven't ticked all these, they're not through the end of the process, right? So you're not, if you have only got to enroll and you've not done lifestyle overview and business overview, they probably won't become good customers. They might not never buy again, and they certainly won't start a business with you because they don't even know about it. So you really have to keep going back to that checklist and making sure that you are ticking those boxes. It doesn't mean that you're convincing people to go on LRP if they don't want to. It doesn't mean that you're telling them to do the business if they don't want to. It's just about going through the options and making sure that they know. I think Emma and I, we've both had people that have, you know, not even realized that there was an option, or people that you can't get a hold of to do the LRP, to do the lifestyle overview. And it really does make such a difference in their enjoyment of the oils, the experience that they've had. And so, yeah, and so it's really, really important to go through that list. Okay, connect with people authentically and sincerely. So this is just a really great guide. It really helps you. It's done by the top leaders that have just built incredible businesses with doTERRA. So it's just giving you, you know, refer to people by name, ask questions, listen to discover their interests and needs. A lot of the time, and I've heard Elena Brower, I've heard a lot of people say this in doTERRA, and what I do is I talk a lot in these videos, so you probably don't believe this, but when I'm talking to someone and I'm sampling them, I'm not actually talking at them. I'm asking them questions and I'm listening, because I need to understand where they're at. I need to understand how their lifestyle is, how they eat. When people say they eat well, ask questions. Is it organic? Is it whole foods? Like a lot of people will go and buy a salad, you know, that's full of pesticides and stuff, and they'll think that's healthy. They'll eat an apple covered in wax and they'll think that that's healthy, but it's filling them with estrogen, and they can't get rid of that in their body, and that's why they're having massive problems in different areas of life. You have to ask the questions. What's the problems? And you have to dig. A lot of the time when you ask someone what their 3 top health concerns is, if you're doing like a wellness overview, and you say to someone, hey, yeah, you're interested in essential oils, what are your 3 top health concerns? People go, oh, I don't really have any. You go, oh, right, okay, so do you never have problems sleeping, or do you ever have tummy problems or bloating or acid reflux, or Do you have dry skin, or do you have skin problems, or do you have menstrual problems, menopause problems? And you will be surprised at how many people don't tick all the boxes. Because most of us have these things, we just get used to them. So it's really, this is a really good aid to help you know how to talk to people, and just gives people a little bit confidence with the wording and stuff like that. And the same with this one over here, want to change lives, connect to a presentation. You know, I know you said you were interested in such and such. If I sent you access to a webinar about this, would you watch it? It just makes it really, really easy when you get that kind of rabbit in the headlights. Oh, how do I introduce this to people? And then you do it really awkward, and then they're like, oh, this is really weird. So just use this, you know, just use it and practice saying it out loud. It will really, really help you get started. You know, it says help people say yes, be clear on what you're inviting them to. Don't just tell them about essential oils and not invite them to something. You've got to give them a call to action. You've got to give them, you know, if I do this for you, will you watch it? If I give you this sample, will you give me your feedback? I want to know how this works for you. So these are really, really good ways to talk to people. And it also gives you things about business overview here, how to do a one-on-one, how to talk in a class. I mean, this is just absolute gold information. And I honestly don't think people that have been building the business for years have actually read every word of this. And it's only a few pages long, and it's absolutely genius. It really is. Okay. So this goes on to presenting the message, but I think we should go back to inviting and sampling, Emma, because I know we've got a bit more to say on that. All right. Do you have anything that's jumping to your head, or shall I go on?
Oh yeah, just with sampling, I've got a little example here. I don't know if you can see, it's a keychain. I like to take this out with me. I just attach it onto my keychain, and then inside, when you open it, well, there isn't any samples in there now, but you can actually put samples of oils in there, and then that means you've got in total around seven or eight samples in there, and then you can actually, you have that handy. So if you're out and about and you don't have like your main oils on you, you've always got samples on you.
And I've heard so many different leaders talk about their different ways of doing this, and I thought it was so good. Like, so some people, right, so you take them around with you, and you think because they're your samples and you're going to be using them yourself, you're not giving them away, you're just going to let people try, that you should just have like a full vial. Don't. Keep them with just 6 drops in them and try to keep refreshing them, because the coolest thing to do is when you're out, say you're in the nail salon, someone's like, oh, I love that smell. What is it? It's peppermint. Oh, it's really amazing. Oh, I have my little kit with me. I can actually just like give you my sample if you want. Like, it's mine. That's what I use, but I don't mind. I can make another one up. So yeah, if you like, and you can leave it with them. And that's a really gorgeous way to sample, because the more personalized you sample, the more people value what you're giving them. Like, a lot of people kind of have this mind, if you give them a freebie, it was free. And it's not free. It's from your collection. You paid for that oil. You paid for that oil and you would use it. And those drops are actually helping your body. So you're giving away a really precious thing when you give away drops of essential oil. So I really think, you know, it's really good to have just a few drops in your little vials, and it is for your personal use when you're out and about, but it's also so you can give a drop. And I've heard people say this with bigger bottles as well. I'm just going to throw this in here. When, like, you know, I've heard people, there was a couple of people in America that I heard that they do this as a technique. So they just take full bottles with them, but they're only ever like this full, right? Like really, really quite empty. They're only near the bottom. And they'll have that with them. And when they're in that nail salon, they'll say to the lady, oh, I've only got this big bottle with me just now, but I can leave it with you. And I would love your feedback, so I can pick it up from you a couple of days and you can let me know what you think. How's that sound? I will need it back because it's my bottle, but yeah, I'm perfectly happy for you to try it for a couple of days and just give me your feedback. That would be really helpful for me actually as well. So, and then you're not putting pressure on them to buy, you're not trying to convince them, but you're adding value to those samples that you're giving out. So I think that's really good. Yeah, and like things like you can do little cards and things like that. Another thing I would say about sampling is just don't sample too much, you know, like, again, it's about the value you're giving people. If you give people like 10 samples of all these different oils, or you decide 6 drops looks really puny in that little vial and you want to give them 12 drops or 20 drops or 30 drops, you're not going to be able to sample many people unless you have like huge amounts of money to invest into your business. Well, not huge amounts, but you have reasonable amounts of money to invest in your business. The other temptation is to give away stuff. So like a lot of us, like buy the enrollment kits, the class kits, the class in a box kits, and it comes with 20 of these little wild oranges. And the temptation is just to give them away. Oh, you're coming to my class, here's a bottle. But actually what works really well is you keep them at the side and you have them lined up, and you say, and anyone who buys essential oils tonight is actually going to get a little free bottle of wild orange as well. So even if you don't want to make it a kit, you can make it a kit if you want. Some people do. If you buy a kit, then you get the wild orange. Some people do if you just buy anything. If you want to buy one bottle retail, if you want to buy one bottle wholesale and just open an account, that's perfectly fine too. So yeah, these little bottles are really, really handy, but just don't get in the trap of being over generous is what I'm trying to say, because that is a problem a lot of doTERRA people have, because we're coming into it with a good heart. We just want to help people. And it's you just get stuck. You're sticking yourself because you're not giving them value, and you're limiting yourself as to how many people you can offer that to. So don't sample too much. And then we'll talk about presenting. So we've gone through. Prepare is P for pipes. That's prepare. So that's when you're buying all the stuff that you need, or getting yourself set up, or getting sure you have the information to write down for people, or all that kind of stuff. And then you have the invite thing, which is obviously sampling comes through both of those sections. So you're sampling people and you're inviting them to learn more. You have your classes scheduled. You don't need to learn to give more than one class. You only need to give an intro class. There's a lot of doTERRA leaders that are Presidential Diamond that have only ever given an intro class to sign people up, right? They might give topic classes to people that are already customers, but generally speaking, an intro class is all you need to learn to actually start enrolling people. There's videos about all the topics. Once they're enrolled, you can send them videos from all the experts in doTERRA. Really what you need to learn is that intro class. It's really, really, really key. So with the presentation of the intro class, that's really where we want to go on to now. So with that, I think we can both agree that Teresa Harding is the goddess of the intro class, in terms of there's not one person in doTERRA that hasn't listened to her method and her teaching and doesn't apply it in their classes. Now, just because they're not, you don't hear it in the same way, because when Teresa Harding says it, she has her own style and she has her own voice and she's very clear and she says it exactly how it's supposed to be said, because she's teaching. But as long as you get all that information in, you say it in your own way, it sounds completely different. So Tara Bliss is doing the same thing. She's dropping in the same thing. She's giving them the same information, but she's doing it in her way, with her voice, her lovely ambiance and, you know, vibes and everything like that. So it does end up sounding really different, but Teresa Harding is going to be your key to doing a successful class. You can do a class for 3 hours to people and they can go away loving the idea of the oils, but not buying any. If you do Teresa Harding method, you will teach about the oils and people will know how to buy. They'll know what the possibilities are after they've bought. They'll understand how to look things up for themselves. They'll understand. It is literally the key to a successful class. So if you do a class and you've not enrolled somebody, get back to your Teresa Harding and learn it word for word. That would be my, you know, I literally sat and listened to it and wrote it out. It took me days and days of listening to it on repeat and stopping and pausing and rewinding and going back and writing word for word what she was saying, because that's the only way I could get it into my head. That was the way I can only remember things, is to really write it down. So Teresa Harding is definitely key here. And then, yeah, it just goes on. So you can choose your presentation. So there's teaching sheets. There's all different ones. Essential Oils Made Easy. Natural Solutions is the one that doTERRA's made. There's a bunch of different versions of this. You can even do topical classes if you want. I don't advise it. I advise, if you're going to do a topic class, then bring it back to the intro kit or one of the enrollment kits. That should be the oils that you're focusing on, because otherwise it's just too confusing for people. They go away wanting vetiver and balance, and there's not an enrollment kit with those in, or maybe there is now, but there wasn't. So, you know, make sure that you're talking about oils that are really easy to bring into your life with one of the kits, because then they're going to have a really nice collection that's going to give them a lot of different variations of applications and stuff like that. So you really do want them to start with a kit. If at all, if they can possibly afford it, you want them to start with a kit. Any of the kits are great. If you don't buy a kit, you end up spending almost the same amount of money and only coming away with 2 or 3 oils that maybe don't have as many uses. So we really want to stick with the kits. They're kits for a reason, right? And they're ones that give you a lot of different options and a lot of different results. So yeah, so then we go on to the choosing your presentation. So you choose that, and then that's giving you the breakdown of what you do in a class. So the first 5 minutes are going to be making connections, tell your story. 1 to 2 minutes, keep it brief. Now, you could probably end up talking about that for half an hour, right? So you've got to keep it brief. That's why we need to practice giving classes to one another first, and then to your friends and family. And then you can go on to strangers, because it does take some practice. And especially when you're nervous, I used to like literally cry before I gave classes. Emma, how did you feel the first few classes you gave?
Well, the way I learned how to do classes was, and I found this really helpful, was I just did, like parts of the class in the beginning just to gain confidence. So this is where it's really important when your upline can help support you in giving a class. So they're obviously they'll be a bit more experienced than you are. They can support you in the beginning, and then perhaps if you feel confident enough, you can talk about the oils, which is generally, I think, when you're starting out, you've already got some knowledge of the basic oils anyway. So that's quite a nice way to start doing a class until you gain the confidence to do a full class yourself. But I think you're going to go through each step, right, of the class sheet. Yeah.
Well, I'll talk through it really quickly, because I think we probably need to do another kind of really big one on this. But yeah, so you basically go through, like, you make your connection, you tell your story. I'm Emma, like even Emma did at the beginning of this call, right? Like, I'm Emma, I've been using essential oils for this, blah, blah, blah. You can tell as much or as little as you want, but keep it short. Then you want to state your intention. So what's your intention? Because people buy why you're doing something, not what you're doing. And at this point, they don't have a clue what essential oils are capable of, right? They're literally connecting with your story, and then they want to know your intention. So is your intention to make money off them? Is your intention to make that 20 euros you get from selling a kit right away? No, that's not really your intention, right? Your intention when you're sharing essential oils is to help people. So it's either to change the lives for this reason, it's to educate people about natural solutions, it's like whatever it is for you, you want to talk about your why, what it is, and that can get quite deep as well. So don't be afraid to go there, but just keep it short. 1 minute, it says here. Then 10 minutes you spend on why essential oils and why doTERRA. So this natural solution sheet has one layout, and all the sheets are vaguely similar. They might be in a slightly different order, but I think of it as there's like 3 ways you start to give your class. The first one is, what are essential oils? This is what I have in my head. I have to talk about these 3 things. 1 is, what are essential oils? 2 is the doTERRA difference. 3 is how they work with the body. You have to get through those 3 things first, but you want to keep it short. So you're going to say something like, what are essential oils? Essential oils are the little oil droplets. When you look through a microscope to a plant, you're going to see these little oil globules, and a lot of these sheets actually have a little photo of that, a little magnified photo of those droplets. And I like to explain a bit more, like, it's what you smell when you smell a peppermint leaf, or you run your hand through a herb, you're actually smelling the essential oil in your hand. When you go to a forest and you feel really amazing and like grounded, and the smell and everything's just beautiful, that's the essential oil getting you. And that's what literally, we don't need to go to the forest. We have the forest in bottles in our homes. Like, that is literally what we're doing. Then you want to, say things like that. Say it really approachable. Say it how you think about it. And then you can talk about, when you go through a rose garden, you have that wonderful smell of roses. That is the essential oil you're smelling. It comes from all different parts of the plant. So you might want to talk about it. It comes from the bark, it comes from the leaves, it comes from the petals, it comes from the citrus, the rind of the fruits, not from the inside, from the rinds of the fruit. You might want to talk about how it comes to the roots of the fruit, the plant sometimes. And that's basically the first little section in a nutshell. We can go into this more, but this is basically it in a nutshell. Then your second section is the doTERRA difference. So you're going to talk again, they have diagrams about this. So you're going to talk about how most essential oils on the market are completely synthetic. They're not real essential oil. They're made in labs. The compounds are similar because they're made up, but they're not nearly as complex because they're not from nature. They're literally copied from nature in a lab. And that's most of the essential oils in the market. That's why they're very cheap, because they're not actually from the plant substance. Then you've got a small amount that are food grade, which means that they have been not made in a lab, hopefully, and they have been approved for food consumption. Now, that doesn't mean that they're super therapeutic. It just means that they're good for flavoring. So a lot of the health food bars you get, a lot of the drinks you drink, they'll actually be flavored with essential oils because they're amazing flavoring. They're also a natural preservative. So they're going to be in a lot of the things that you're doing anyway. So that's a small amount of essential oils. And then there's a small amount of those essential oils that are therapeutic. Why are they therapeutic? Because they've not been farmed, because they've been distilled and harvested at the best times, because they've not been, you know, the plant hasn't been picked when there's been a terrible rain season and the plant isn't good enough. They've not just picked it, made the essential oil and put it in the bottle anyway. That would still smell and taste good, but it's not going to have the same compounds in it because it's not been grown in the perfect conditions. So there's a very, very, very small amount of oils on the market that are therapeutic grade. And doTERRA are even above that because they're actually above organic and standard. There's actually like nothing toxic in those bottles. And that's really, really hard to promise when you're talking about essential oils and they're farmed in, not farmed, but they're found naturally in Somalia, or they're found in, you know, Afghanistan or somewhere like that, where there's a lot of different rules across the world. Organic doesn't mean there's not one simple explanation for organic. So doTERRA really take it above and beyond. They're involved in all the sourcing. They don't farm the oils. They go to where they grow, you know, originally. They work with people in the areas to grow more. They, you know, work with the communities. They build schools. They build water supplies to these people. They have cooperatives. So they do it all completely ethically. Sustainably is super, super important, because some companies just go in and pillage these plants and take all their oil and then, you know, just sell it, and then they don't care that there's none left, you know. So doTERRA, even one example is they go into Somalia, they spend $3 million on frankincense trees. They don't buy them, they don't buy the land. They've used that money to pay the farmers for 3 years to live normally as they would with a better wage than they were used to getting, just to nurture the trees, because they know they build a good relationship and they get these trees back to health. They have a supply of frankincense forever and everybody wins. We win, doTERRA wins, the harvesters win, the farmers win. The only people that don't win are the horrible brokers that used to come in and cut up the product and not pay them properly and all that kind of stuff. So it's really important. The doTERRA difference is super important to get across. And then you want to talk about how they work with the body. And how they work with the body is obviously they go through the skin. You know, you can talk about all that. You can talk about how they go inside the cell wall, which is not how normal medicine work. But the cell wall is made of fat and the essential oils are fat. So they go through the cell wall and they work from inside the cells. They have an amazing ability to reach inside the parts of the brain that we cannot reach, the parts of the brain that hold on to trauma, the parts of our brain that process emotions, our lungs, which you can't get medicine into. You know, it's just the way they work with the body is unparalleled. You know, there's nothing else that works with the body in the same way. You might want to mention that herbs are really helpful, but you know, essential oils are 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. So you're going to mention all these little tidbits, give them that overview as quickly as possible. And there's a lot of information to get across, but do it as quickly as possible. And then you go through how to use them: aromatic, topical, internal, which I won't go into right now, but you want to go into, you know, aromatics, not just about smell, it's about the compounds and they actually work with you. And then it's a really good way, a cheap way to affect a lot of people. Then you'll go into topical. It's an even more intensive way to use the oils. They go through the skin. They're, you know, affecting every cell in your body like that. And so on and so forth. And then you can go to internal, which just make sure that you are not telling anyone to use any essential oils internally. That would be exceptionally dangerous. The only reason doTERRA oils can be used internally, and they're approved by the FDA and all the different people, is because they're so pure and they can prove that. Like you can literally look up the bottle that you have, the little number on the bottom, and you can literally look up the test results from your bottle. So it's completely safe with doTERRA. They are used in lots of foods anyway. A lot of companies will badmouth this, and I tell this in my class. A lot of companies will say that that's very dangerous, because it would be with their oils, because they don't know where they've come from. They don't know the whole process. They might have been carried back in plastic bottles and they've leached into the oils. That would be not good. Okay, so you really want to make sure that the only oils that they would ever use internally would be doTERRA. Okay, that's really, really important. And then you go on to the top 10 oils, and then you go through those. And that's where Emma was saying it's really good when you're learning to give a class and you're doing it with uplines. Let your upline do that intro bit first, you dive into some of those uses of those 10 essential oils, and then maybe go back to your upline to close the class. And then next time you can open and talk with oils and your upline can close. And then you end up doing the whole thing. So you want to just learn that in steps. Okay, did I miss anything out, Emma? Could you think of anything else?
No, that was everything. That's covered everything.
So
but, but I think we can go into more detail on a class sheet.
Yes.
The things that, you know, like the oils, like uses, whatever it is, we can go into more detail.
Yeah, and Teresa Harding really goes into this as well. So that's where we really want you guys to be listening to Teresa Harding like on repeat, because what's also really important, that's the main class, but then you also want to go into the close of the class, which is not about pushing sales, which is what most people think of when they think of closing a class. They think, oh, that makes me feel icky. It's not at all. You're literally just teaching it. If you want to know how to buy these oils, this is how to buy them. We have all these different kits. They've got them for every budget. And don't go straight for the smallest kit or the cheapest option. Assume people can buy it. Don't make that assumption for them. I find that really insulting when people assume that I can't afford something. Like, I might not be able to, but I don't want people to assume that of me. I might be able to, right? Like, it depends on where you're at that month or whatever is going on in your life, what your priorities are. Start with the biggest kit. Say it might not be for you, but we'll mention it. We've got a kit with everything. And work your way down and say, then we've got really affordable kits. It also gives a perspective. If you start with the smallest kit, people are going to think £100 is really expensive. When you start with a kit that's £3,000, they're going to realize what they're getting for £100. So it's also about, you know, setting that up. And then, yeah, you talk through the kits. You mention, I don't do it too intensely. I like to mention that, of course, there's a business opportunity. If some people, about 10% of people end up sharing doTERRA with other people. If that interests you, just let me know. And then I also say, and also, obviously, once you've got your oils, you're going to absolutely love them. You're going to want more. You're going to want to know more about the toothpaste and the skincare and all these other oils that are amazing and all the supplements. And so if you want to buy more, there's also an amazing way to buy and save another 30% back on everything you're buying, and also get a lot of free products in the process. So you can get like £2,000 worth of free products in a year if you take advantage of all their offers. So again, you know, once you've got your oils and you're loving them, make sure we have a conversation. I can let you know how to save more money and get more free stuff, basically. And I just leave it like that. And then it's like, okay. And then you go around everybody individually. Like Emma and I did a great class at the Hoxton. There was how many people at that class?
It was about 25 people, wasn't there, in total?
Yeah. 25 people. And so we split. There was Emma's sister Kate, who's also loves doTERRA. So we had the three of us. We just split everyone up and we went around people in small groups. So we had about 4 or 5 people each, and we just gave them our intensive and you know, our one-to-one kind of attention, because people need that before they're ready to buy. So it's important to save that time in the class as well. Yeah,
and it's good to mention that in the class before you do a class. I always mention to write down your top 3 health concerns, so that at the end of the class that you can actually help people with those specific needs. So you know what kit that's going to be suitable for them, because there are different kits designed to help with different ailments, let's put it that way. So there's one kit that's for emotional support, and then there's another kit that's more for physical support. So it's just good to gauge that information before you do the class. And I think after I've introduced myself and told my story, then I give people the opportunity to write that down.
Yeah.
And if it's online, I'll say to them, just write it in your phone or write it on a piece of paper, you know, whatever's easiest for them.
Yeah, really, really good point, Emma. And it does work if you forget to do it at that point in the class. You can even do it before the class. Like sometimes, even in that example of that class, I remember when people were arriving and we're all kind of milling around before we started, you know, I'm going around saying to people, oh, so have you used doTERRA before? Have you heard of it before? What brought you here? What's your interest? So people were starting to say, oh God, I'm so stressed out right now, or oh, I have really bad, you know, stomach problems, or I was just, I have trouble like relaxing at night. I need some help with that. So then you can even like make sure that you're covering those points in your class. Same with at the beginning, you know, if you've got a lot of people and you've not had a chance to do that, it's really great to get people to write it down beginning of class. If you've not done it then do it afterwards in those one-to-one moments or those smaller group moments where you can split up and you say to people, hey, so what are your 3 top health concerns? You know, and just make sure you're exactly, you're meeting their needs. So even though you've talked about those 10 oils, which we think everyone needs to have in their home, the right kit for them, because they might not have enough money to buy that and what they need for their specific problem, they might just want to go for the sleep kit, or they might want to go for the cleanse and restore kit. So yeah, you really want to know that information. It's a really, really good point. And then also we can say, you know, a lot of people in their classes will actually then book more classes from their classes. So before the end of the class, you actually say, like that keychain that Emma held up earlier. Do you still have it, Emma?
Yeah.
That's a really good one to do. So like, you know, and hey, if you really enjoyed today's class and you want to share it with other people and you're thinking, oh, my sister would love this, my mom would love this, or my auntie would love this, well, let's do a class. And actually, if you want to host a class, we'll give you a little keychain with you to take away. And that can be your little gift for hosting a class for us. So that would be a really wonderful way to do that.
Yeah.
And it's also got a breakdown here of a business class. We won't go into that just now, but that's a very, very good, nice little breakdown of how to give a business class. And it's talking about the opportunity. And then, yeah, this is going into enroll successfully, which I've kind of covered. So we'll kind of skip over it, but don't skip over it. Like actually go in and read this. Like we're going to skip over it now, but go in and read this. It's super, super important. At the beginning, I promised to show you how to get these all to your home. Let's go over your options. You know, it's just, again, it's just really well worded. Enrolling tips, encourage prospects to purchase a kit so they have multiple products on hand, not just one or two things. It's what I'm saying, but it's very clearly written down here. Overcoming objections is the other thing it's got there. So, you know, financial concerns is one. And it says, what would you like to host a class so you can earn the money to get the kit you really want? So if they can't afford to buy a kit, you offer them that if they host a class and if 5 of their friends enroll, we can put their order through first and put them through under you. And you're going to make that 20% commission on those 5 kits. So that means your kit's paid for and you're making a bit of money on top. So that's a really, really nice way to, yeah, just overcome those objections, because there really is a way for everybody to get started. And then, yeah, it goes into lifestyle overview, which is not something we'll go into again in much detail here, but it's super, super important. And this is usually the next follow-up. So once they get their oils, I usually say, and with your oils, I'll give you a free 1-hour personal consultation with your oils to make sure you feel comfortable and you know how to use them. So let's set it up now, or let's, you know, set it up, but let's make sure we do that, because it will really, really help. And that's a good opportunity to go through the Live Guide, because that's going to really do that for them. It's going to give them a really good idea of how to go through their whole health and make sure that they're really serving themselves on all those different levels. It also has the wellness consult. So if you've not managed to ask those 3 questions yet, you've got another opportunity to do it here. Once they've got their kit, you talk to them and say, what are your 3 top health concerns? Okay, use your lavender like this. You might want to think about getting vetiver or serenity, or you might want to think about Roman chamomile. Okay, so your other top health concern is digestion. Okay, you've got Zengest in your kit, but maybe you're going to want to try the supplements as well. You know, like you might have other things to recommend them, and you can write all that down there. You can write down their, you know, how they should use them every day and all that kind of information. It's such a good tool. I can't even tell you enough how much of a good tool it is. Okay, and that's actually kind of it. This then goes on to placement strategy and your builders and things like that. I feel like that's a little bit too advanced for this call. I think we should probably stop there. But placement's a whole other subject. But all I will say about placement is, don't forget, once you've enrolled people, that's not it over. Okay, that's you just getting people started. Your other jobs are to take care of them, as in they know what to do with their oils, they know about other products, they know how to order. So that's the Live Guide that we just talked about. And then it's placement. You have to remember that within 14 days of enrolling your people, you want to place them in your company. And that's where you really want to work with your upline. Like I still work with people in my team years after they've started enrolling people, because it's really nice to discuss this stuff. You know, like, you need to know if that person's wanting to share. You want to know if they're always going to be a customer. You want to know what their interests are. You know, all that kind of stuff comes into play. So it's really, really good to work with your upline. And if your direct upline isn't helping you, go to your next upline. Go to whoever it is that you know of. If you don't know them, you can find them in your back office. You can ask one of us to help you find who you should be speaking to, but there's always going to be someone that's going to help you in doTERRA. Okay, always. That's not the problem. So just make sure you seek it out. And the biggest thing is just making sure you place that person in your company. And it depends what you want. If you're a casual sharer, or if you're very serious about making a lot of money as well, that's going to make a difference in this process. So we need to know what you want, and we need to know what they want at that point.
Something that's just popped into my head, Ebony, I don't know if we discussed it, but it's following up. So after you've done a class, I know with online classes, it's very different to physical classes. Like Ebony discussed before we did the class at the Hoxton, it's far easier to touch base with people after they've done the class and give them that personal consultation. But obviously when you're on an online class, it's a very different experience because you're online, so people don't tend to share personal information in the chat just because it's personal information, and they may just want that one-on-one with you. So my experience with doing online classes, it's really important to follow up afterwards to make sure that you get in touch with them after you've done the class, if not feeling open to sharing, you know, their specific needs on that online class that you're doing with them. That's just my experience of online. So that's why it's really key to make sure you are following up with people.
Yeah, and if you have a lot of people showing up, like sometimes we have over 40 people or something showing up to an online class, there's no way that one person or 3 people are even going to be able to do that. You know, and sometimes we do, like we've done small groups, haven't we, Emma, where we all end up having a wee chat afterwards, and people are quite open and we share things. But yeah, often people don't want to tell you everything, or they don't want to share.
It depends on the dynamic of the group. Like if you've
one
got
person
people,
can ruin a dynamic of a group. So.
If you've got people on there who all know each other, then they may feel more like, you know, they might feel that they're open enough to share what they're possibly dealing with. But if you've got a group of people who don't know each other, then it can be very different.
It can be comfortable too. So you'll notice that some people from different places are open, and some people from certain places are not so open with things like this. So you really
follow up is key. Yeah,
it really is. It really is. And actually, Chris came up with a good suggestion on this, and I've not actually done this yet, but there's also a possibility to do rooms in Zoom, and you can like separate people out.
Yeah, there is.
So, you know, if you did want to do big classes and that was what you were going to do, because you know you have a huge network, you could easily use that feature to do that kind of thing, like we did at the hosting, where we just separate everyone into groups of 4 or 5. You could do that online if you had like 3 of you hosting a big class or something like that. But generally speaking, you're probably going to want to do that follow-up call. If you can do it that night, do it, because it's so much more powerful if you can do it on the night. It's so much more work, isn't it, Emma, when you've got to like set up another call, and you know, it's like the momentum's gone, like they've had the experience, they're home now, like it's just, you know, like it's just better to do it in the moment if you possibly can. Yeah, really good point. It can sometimes not be possible, so definitely. And then it does talk about builders here, so I will mention this really quickly as well, because I think we've both done that. You know, it's like you don't really want to talk about the business opportunity, because that can come across as like recruiting, or like you're pushing people into sharing, or people are not just customers with doTERRA, like everyone has to be doing the business. It's not at all the case. It's a very small percentage of people in doTERRA actually do the business. So this is a really good page just to help you with that process, and don't be scared of mentioning the business. So if all you do is just mention that there's a business opportunity, just do it, but just do it really, really, really what's the word? Casually, exactly.
I mean, I've experienced both ways. I've expressed a business opportunity at the end of a class, and I've actually followed it from a sheet that was done, which is from an American builder, I'm presuming, but it comes across as really too salesy for me. So I prefer the casual way. So I just drop it in at the beginning of the class, actually, and then it's that ickiness is gone. Like that for me really works. I just drop it in, make sure people know that there is an opportunity, and at the end of the class, if that's something that they're interested in, then they can come to me at the end, and then it just gets it out of the way. That's what I prefer, and I find that then people feel more comfortable then, like they're like, okay, now I know, And I think even Teresa Harding teaches it like that.
Yeah, she does the 2-minute thing, like for 2
2-minute
minutes,
thing.
for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's still a little bit too much for me. Like I normally just say, like, obviously like tons of people are into the oils just now. We're looking for educators all the time. If it does interest you, let me know. So I'll kind of say it like that sometimes. It depends. It depends on the group. It depends on my mood. It depends how it comes out. Sometimes it comes out different. But I tend to do it, yeah, really sort of casually like that. And it's just like, I love what I do. If you want to do what I'm doing, let me know, like that kind of attitude towards it, rather than like, yeah, sort of trying to push it too much or trying to talk about it too much. And then it just gets awkward. And if you feel awkward about it, they'll feel more awkward about it. So you have to feel good about the way you're talking about it, but don't avoid it. That's all I'll say, is don't avoid it completely. Do just mention it in some way. And practice until you feel comfortable. And you might even, like, I know we've probably both gone through that, Emma, where you learn to do a class and you do these classes and you do it for a bunch of people and you feel terrible at first, but you get better and better and you're sort of nailing it and like feeling good about it and you're having really good experiences, you're getting really good feedback, everyone's buying off you, it's great. Then all of a sudden you'll do a class and it'll be completely different. And like you're like, oh no, what have I done? Like, I can feel the atmosphere, it's not the same.
That's happened to me, and that can knock your confidence for sure, but you just got to get back on the bike, as they say.
Exactly. And figure it out, like, what have you done different? Like, really analyze it and be really honest with yourself. It's so easy to go, oh, I didn't do anything different, it's not my fault, it's they were different, blah blah blah. It's always us. Life is a mirror. There's always going to be something that you could have done a bit different to have a different result. There just is.
It is, and it can also be the way that you're feeling like that day. So if you're not feeling
your belief system,
if you're not feeling in a great mood, then yeah, that can come across in your class. So that's why, just as a little tip, that you should always use the oils before doing a class. I always use the oils before doing a class. Balance, Copaiba, what else do I use?
Vetiver is a good one.
Vetiver, like just anything that's going to help calm your nerves.
Peace.
Yeah, another good one. So yeah, that really helps me. It really does help me. Adaptive, really good one. I've gone through a whole bottle of that this month just from doing classes. So
about adaptive, it's so stupid. Yeah, it's a really, really good one for that. And also, I was just going to say something else there as well. Yeah, don't be afraid to have fun. Don't be afraid to not know things as well. Like, one of the biggest problems, I think, when people start doing classes, they feel they don't know enough. They feel they're not an expert. Like, oh, I don't know all the answers. I don't know what you would do with this. I don't know how you would deal with that. I don't know the answer to that. But just be okay with that. You are not an essential expert. You're not a trained aromatherapist unless you are. You're not a doctor unless you are. You're not a nurse unless you are. Like, you're not an expert, okay? You are someone who's come across these essential oils, who's had good experiences, who's sharing them with other people. You don't need to know all the answers. The best way is, that's a great question. I'm going to find out the answer for you. And you can drop in things like, oh, that's a really great question. We should check out the amazing books. That's how we all find out these things. There's amazing books with all this information. We have these amazing private forums. You can ask these questions in. That's another good response. Another good response is, oh my God, customer service with doTERRA is amazing. We're going to ask them and they're going to give us the answer directly. So there's a bunch of ways, again, just to deal with these situations. I feel like my video is going sticky. Is it okay?
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's really, really pretty much everything. The only other thing I would say that we've not talked about is like the preparing for the class. If you are doing a live class, which I know obviously at different times, what we're all going through just now, it's not so easy to do live classes for some people. But when you are doing live classes, you might also want to have a big jug of water with a drop of lemon in there for them to try. That means they're trying it internally. You might want to have like a little snack, so those little kind of chocolate ball, protein ball type things. You can add some wild orange or peppermint, or make some cinnamon bark, or make a hot chocolate, or you can do a guacamole dip with some lime in there. And that's a really great way, because then they're actually getting to try those oils out in all the different ways.
And that's just reminded me of something as well. If you are doing online classes, it's really important that you do send samples to people beforehand, because obviously you're not in a practical situation where you would not have your oils on the table and you can be passing those bottles around. So it's super important to send samples so that at least they're having some experience with, using the oils during the class, so they know how to use them.
Yeah. It's not essential as in like I've done it without and you can still sell oils. Like it is possible that people will still buy, but if you think about the experience of it, if you've not tried the oils, all they are trusting in is you and what you're saying. If they've tried the oils themselves, they can feel the difference. Like they actually can feel it. So it's really, really an amazing, like you're literally one step forward to the being ready to take in everything you're saying, believe everything you're saying, and be ready to buy their own for themselves. And if you haven't sampled them and they haven't tried them themselves, it might take a few more times of teaching, of interacting with your knowledge to be ready. So yeah, huge, huge, huge step forward if you can sample.
Yeah.
Great point.
Well,
okay. Have we hit everything, I think?
We did everything.
Good. Okay, cool. Great. So get your launch guides out, guys, and get to work. It's fun too. Like it's really fun when you're prepared. What is it we say, Emma? Like my mom used to say to me all the time, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. And it's so true. It's all in the preparation. So yeah, preparation and follow through. Follow up. All right, guys. Any questions? Put them below. Happy to answer. Reach out to Emma or I. We've got the messenger chat as well. You can ask questions in there, ask questions on the page, wherever you want. Just go for it. And every time you do it, just learn something new, pick up something new and improve. And you'll get really confident. It happens without you really realizing. You suddenly think, oh, that was really fun. I want to do more. So yeah, it's good.
It is. It is fun helping people, and that's what you've always got to remember. We're helping people. You know, we're not selling to people. We are helping people. That's it.
Just thought of one more thing, sorry. But the one more thing I was going to say is, like, you know, obviously if you're doing live classes in front of people, there are different ways of thinking about this as well. You can either have all the 10 essential oils out so that people can actually pass them around and experience them as you're talking. However, really think about your environment. If you've got a very small environment with no airflow and there's going to be 15 people trying essential oil, you're all going to be really high on essential oils, okay? Like, now there's no overdosing to be worried about, nothing like that, but people might get a wee bit like, whoo, that's a lot, you know, because it really hits you, you know, and if it's your first experience with essential oils, it might be quite a lot. So some people say only pass around a couple of essential oils for people to experience in that room. You know, like there are different ways. I've done it both ways. And to be honest, I don't think either are bad or good. I just think it depends on your environment and the people. You know, if you notice that people are starting to be a bit sensitive, like, you know, then, you know, maybe just dial it back a bit, because I can tell you as somebody who, Irena and I did a class at the Secret Herb Garden in Edinburgh, and there was 100 people coming to this event, and we decided it'd be a great idea to sample everybody. Well, I had a bottle of wild orange and Irena had a bottle of peppermint, and we gave everyone a drop coming in of each of them and they could try them. My goodness, I was literally on the floor giggling like an idiot because I had wild orange, which is happy oil, right? So I'm like literally like, I couldn't even contain myself. I was just like literally like high on life. Irene, on the other hand, who had the peppermint, was like, oh my God, my face is going numb. She had so much peppermint on her hands that it was like all in her skin, and it was just like a lot. She had a whole ball of peppermint on her basically. So although it was exceptionally funny, I'm just making the point that, yeah, there can be too much for people to experience on occasion. So yeah, just do what feels right in that occasion. You can let them try every oil if they want to, but don't feel like you have to open every oil and make everyone try every oil. That's not necessary. As long as they try an oil, peppermint being my favorite because you can feel it. You know, and it's such a pop. And also never get out lavender in a class, because people, the muscles will all just go, I've literally watched it happen where they're on peppermint, they're all high and everything's great. Then you get the lavender out and people go, and their day just starts to hit them and start to lose them.
Don't want that.
Not good at all. Not good at all. All right, so that's I think that is it for now. We'll add in any extras later. But that should give you a good base to go with.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you, Ebony.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for joining and doing this together. It's so great.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, everyone. And we will speak to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.